Hello and thanks for choosing to rent your vehicle from Thrifty. If you've got a group of people to transport, then a commuter bus could be just the vehicle for your needs. These vehicles are fairly easy to drive, but they are different to regular sedans. Anyone who drives or operates a minibus to carry passengers has a duty of care to take all reasonable precautions to ensure that it's operated safely. Now, sometimes passengers in large buses can develop a false sense of security simply due to the size of the vehicle. It's still critical that everyone is wearing their seatbelt at all times. So, to ensure that everyone is safely on board and to avoid any fines, be sure to check that everyone is buckled in before moving off. Depending on the vehicle and your situation, your luggage storage areas may be limited. Items can be stored under the passenger seats or behind the last row of seats. Please discuss your needs with our friendly team to ensure that you have the right amount of storage capacity. From a driving standpoint, the experience of operating a minibus is mostly very similar to driving a standard vehicle, but there are a few things to keep in mind. Firstly, the dynamics will feel different simply due to the overall size of the vehicle. Carrying the weight of up to 12 people and all their luggage on board means that your minibus will be heavier than most vehicles you usually drive. So be aware of the fact that this weight will have an impact on the vehicle's dynamics during acceleration, braking and cornering. You'll need to be smooth with the controls and give yourself greater safety margins. Be sure to follow at a safe distance, brake well before you approach a corner and always keep to the speed limits. The other thing to consider is the length of the vehicle. A minibus is longer than the average sedan and therefore this means that the bus will have a bigger turning radius. You'll need to take most turns a little wider and pay extra attention to items in your rearview mirror as you turn to ensure that the vehicle can safely clear the corner. Finally, be mindful of windy conditions. The height and size of the minibus can lead the vehicle to be pushed around in crosswinds. So we've looked at some of the factors that might impact the bus's dynamic operation from the outside. But what about the inside? Depending on the occasion and the passengers, the driver might have to deal with higher levels of noise and distractions. There may be all sorts of banter, noise and fun going on behind the driver, but you need to block those distractions out as much as you can and focus on your primary job, which is driving the bus. The bus may perform slightly differently if it's empty or fully loaded. It's important to make note of the vehicle's height and pay attention to any posted signs when entering a parking garage. You need to be extra careful with this. You can cause a lot of damage and create a lot of expense by underestimating the height clearance. Even something as simple as going into a car park fully loaded, having the passengers get out, the vehicle comes up off the suspension a little bit higher, and that might be just enough for you to collide with an overhead gantry or some sort of beam. So again, be extra careful when considering going into an undercover car park. Be sure that you can clear that height, and if in doubt, don't. Also, your blind spot in a minibus is slightly different to that of a normal vehicle. So before you start driving, take a moment to ensure that your center rear and your wing mirrors are all set up correctly for your height and driving position. Always be sure to double check these blind spots before turning or changing lanes whenever you're on the road. Whilst there is a center rear view mirror in the minibus, you may find that this view from that mirror is obstructed once there's passengers on board, and this may increase the blind spot areas at the rear of the bus. One final point to be mindful of is passengers stepping up or stepping down from the side of the passenger access doors. Be sure to use any handles and watch out for low head clearance. If you have any further questions, be sure to ask our friendly team and enjoy the drive.